Hello. Welcome to the show tonight. It's just the two of us. We may have some extras
Just
joining us maybe a little later. Dr. Amber did have to give a talk today, and Dr. Lakeisha is out today. So it's just us. So what's up, Dr. Kristen? How are you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. I'm tired. I'm
Me too.
traveling again. So just, making it work.
We are making it work. All right, so we're gonna start off with some hot topics. First, what you think about Texas opening up?
First off, I want to say when I first heard about it, I literally thought it was a joke. Like, for real, a joke. And I was like, oh no, it's the beginning of March, not the beginning of April. It's not April Fool's. So, yeah, I'm, after 2020, it's like few things can shock us anymore, right?
I
Nah, I was
know.
still shocked. Like, really? Really?
I mean, I think the biggest concern is Texas just got over, a horrible storm.
Just that. I mean, they're still getting over it. They're not completely over it, but like,
So the numbers already were starting to steadily go up. People had to be in shelters and in small spaces because people couldn't stay at home. And so now you're going to take that little tick of a number that's going up with COVID numbers, and then boom, we're going to put y'all right back in, open air, 100% everything is open. I'm just like,
hot mess.
it is a little, I'm not gonna lie. I was shocked. I was kind of shocked. Like I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, what you doing though?
Like, to open everything back up is one thing. Because you can say, okay, everything that was still closed, I don't know what was still closed in Texas. But it's one step to say everything open back up. Go out to eat, go to the movies, do this and that, but you still have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Like, until we have herd immunity, we should all still be wearing a mask. Like, I'm fully vaccinated, you're fully vaccinated, we still wear masks.
Every day.
And let's not even try and pretend like everybody in Texas is going to be vaccinated in the next 30 days.
Right. They're not, because they just came out of a snowstorm where people don't have heat still. And so there's a problem.
Yeah, I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say the logic behind it because I'm not so sure there is any logic behind it. So
I'm not convinced that there is anything going on with that.
Anything other than political reasons, but that's a whole other show.
Yeah, we're not going to do that tonight or any night.
You're right. Never. We're never doing that.
All right. So another hot topic is Kim K and Kanye. They are no more. So Kim is getting a divorce. One of our future shows in the near future will be about being married or dating someone with mental illness and mental health issues when you have to be married to someone who already has those issues. But I'm not a Kim K fan. I'm not one of those people who loves or hates Kim K. I'm just not. But that was a lot to deal with someone who clearly had some mental illness for as long as she did, and have kids with him, and have to go through that with her children is got to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have children, and whether you decide to stay together or not, now you're co-parenting or sharing custody or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and I'm not going to judge their relationship from the outside looking in. But it's tough, especially when you're dealing with living with someone with mental illness in the public spotlight. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the public spotlight in general is a lot, but to be dealing with some of that clearly in the public spotlight is got to be hard. He went on that rant this summer, about North and her mother, and I mean that goes out to millions of people. It's on every news outlet.
Wait, what you talking about?
You don't know? You don't remember that? He went on this huge Twitter rant, and it was like 10 Twitter tweets and literally dogging Kim out, dogging out Chris, saying he didn't
Wow.
want his daughter to be like her mother. It was bad.
Ooh, this was recent?
This was the summer.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. All we can do is pray for the best for both of them. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to us talking more about how to deal with those relationships because it's tough.
It's tough. I think that that's one of the hardest things people have to deal with is dealing with somebody else, dealing with your spouse or your significant other that has mental illness, because that comes with its own whole set of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So going from that to something more lighthearted, what you doing this weekend, girl?
What am I doing this weekend? Well, I get home tomorrow. Yay. So I get to spend time with Jarvis and the kids and my mom. And my father-in-law's birthday is this weekend.
Oh, cool.
So yay to that.
Are you guys gonna drive up to see them, or are you guys gonna do a Zoom birthday? Or
You know what? I don't know all the plans yet, probably because I've been gone all week, but I'm sure when I get back, Jarvis will fill me in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna be watching Coming to America. I've been looking forward to this since they announced it's coming out. So
Please don't be a disappointment. Please don't be a disappointment.
I'm so excited.
Please.
It's like really sad that I don't know. It's like I'm living a dream. Like Coming to America's coming out, and then the first Real World reunion is coming out this weekend too.
Okay.
I'm essentially going to be
remind me
in front of a TV all day.
Real World.
New York. So Heather B, Julie. Oh God, you so much.
So okay, I didn't start watching The Real World at first. I think what got me into The Real World is I started watching the Real World Road Rules challenges, and then I started watching the Real World. And somebody was Jay Cutler on Real World. Somebody who went to Vanderbilt with me was on the Real World, and I feel like I'm thinking was it? I don't remember who it was.
No,
but
I used to watch that every once in a while, but I was like the original. And I don't watch reality TV, so this is saying something.
I watch a lot.
I don't watch it at all. Like I have friends who watch it all the time. I couldn't tell you nothing about any, but I'm definitely watching that. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know why I remember Alton and what was his little girlfriend's name? I think her name began with an A too, from the Real World Road Rules challenges. I don't know why. I remember them more than I remember anybody else. I don't know.
Yeah. My favorite real this was my favorite one. This one in Hawaii. Those two were kind of my favorite. So I can't wait. They're talking about a Hawaii reunion, so we'll see. But
yeah, I couldn't even tell you who was on Hawaii either.
Oh God.
It should be good though.
We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll let y'all know next week how it went. All right. So speaking of the topic of today, it's all about caring for aging parents. And so this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart for a number of reasons. One is because, personal experiences. I technically don't care for an aging parent as of yet, but my dad is aging. My mother helps care for him. And but I take care of tons of families. I do sports medicine, but also I'm a family physician. And so this is kind of what I do. This is my wheelhouse. And so I think the biggest thing that people always want to know is what's the first step? Like my mother or my dad is starting to deteriorate. So what do I do? Like, and I always say, okay, well, what can't they do? Let's start with just the basics. Like, let's start with where they are, because then we can decide what level of care they're going to need. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming in, I'm going to ask you, okay, can she, what are her activities of daily living? So activities of daily living is, can she feed herself? Can she bathe herself? Can she cook? And then if she can do all of her activities of daily living, then I know, hey, you can live by yourself. Yeah. But then it's the other aspect of this, which is, can you then do your grocery shopping. Can you pay your bills? And that's when things get a little trickier. And that tends to be what you see the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I asked the patient, could I share the story with you guys? And she said, sure. And so I take care of a family, take care of the daughter and the mom. And the mom was a nurse for years. And boom, one day she called the office and was like, I'm lost. I can't find your office. She had been seeing me at that point for about 5 years. And that was a red flag for me. So at that point, luckily, I know her daughters. They are also patients. So I called them. I was like, hey, your mom couldn't find my office. So we need to have a talk,
Yeah.
because that was like the first sign. This is a doctor she's seen for years. She had a medical condition where she had to see me
Mm-hmm.
not super frequently, but at least 3 times a year. So there's no reason she should have gotten lost. And so I think that the biggest thing is you want to just meet your patients where they are, or meet your family where they are. And so figure out what they can and can't do. And you know, it took her a long time to get to the point where she had to stop caring for herself, and where she's now in a nursing home, like 10 years, which is a really long time, but we had all that time to plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's a big deal. And so, what does that look like? And so I know we had talked about like financial stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that finances plays a big part of how do you plan to take care of your aging family members. And it's a difficult conversation to have. I mean, it's awkward. Like, who wants to talk to their parents about their money? Um, it's also awkward because it's like, I shouldn't say it's awkward. I should say nobody wants to think about their parents getting to the point where they can no longer be independent.
Yeah.
I'm sure me, you, your parents, as an adult, we don't want to think about years down the road where we are no longer independent and now somebody has to take care of us. It's a difficult subject to talk about, but we have to because, um, you know, it's great that you're such a great physician and that you were able to help navigate for that family what they can do to best care for their loved one. But it's really even more ideal to have all these things planned out before your parent or loved one needs the help. Um, and I'm guilty of that because I did not. Knowing that I'm my mom's only child, I kind of was like, yeah, I'll probably, have to take care of her, but I didn't plan anything. And the day that she had to start living with us came way sooner than I had anticipated. And so looking back, I just wish there were things that we had discussed earlier and things that we had in place. I am not a financial expert. And so this is definitely not financial advice.
I would
But
disagree. You are the financial guru of this group.
this
You
is
all about the money all the time.
where the money reside. Don't play. But seriously, like I think it is a good idea for everyone to sit down with their parents and just take a broad look at finances. You know, your parents may have a wonderful retirement account or retirement savings or a pension or something like that that they can financially rely on. Um, they may not have anything other than Social Security. And any kids out there watching, don't you rely on Social Security for your parents because we ain't getting it. Um,
Nope.
but talk about those things and even like, wishes, make sure that if your parents want you to be their healthcare proxy, if their spouse is deceased or if they don't have a spouse or a partner, make sure all those things are in place. And I'm sure you can tell us a lot more about that as a primary care physician. And so we'll get back to that in a second, but make sure you know what their wishes are. And it has to be something that is a discussion because, yes, it's their life, but it's your life too. And it's going to impact both parties. So, you know, Are they going to want to go to maybe a senior living community where they're around other people their age and there are people there that can give assistance based on what their needs are? So, like, I know my grandparents moved into a community where they were very, very independent in the beginning. My grandfather, unfortunately, was diagnosed with lung cancer, and leading up to his passing, he was able to go to more skilled nursing care in the same facility. So, there are places like that where as you continue to age and need more and more care, you can find places that can kind of fulfill all those needs. Or are your parents like, I really just want to live with you. Like, I don't want to be somewhere else. That's just a discussion to have, because, you may you may not be aware of what
Yeah.
their wishes are. And when they finally tell you what they are, it might shock you. So, you need to have that discussion. And if they are wanting to be in a place with other seniors, there are things to consider from the financial side as well. Again, talk to a financial expert about this. But I know, there are some places that will, like, because some of these places are really expensive. Like, your parents might have to sell their home just to buy in to live in some of these places. But some of them are subsidized, the cost, but there are criteria your parents will have to meet. Like, they can only have a certain dollar amount of assets, so that becomes complicated as well. So it's a lot to think about. It's a lot of planning. And I was even telling Dr. Tamika the other day that Jarvis and I were finally, don't be like us. Make sure you have a will before you have kids, or at least as soon as your kids are born. Are finally sitting down and finalizing our will. And we were going over the first draft of it. And I was like, wait a minute. Of course, everybody thinks to put their kids in their will, but I'm like, my mom lives with us. So what if something unfortunate does happen to both of us tomorrow? Like, we've assigned guardians for our kids. We've assigned trustees to, take care of our trusts and do what we wish with those assets. But what's my mom going to do? Because if my kids have to move in with their grandparents who are going to take care of them and they sell our house, where's my mom going to live? So while it's very, very unlikely that my mom will outlive the two of us, I feel like we should still plan for it. And that's something that I didn't really think about 2-3 years ago.
I think you brought up a great point too, is, I didn't think about that, and we talked about this earlier in the fact that we know a physician who unfortunately died of COVID, who was taking care of her son who had a disability, but he was an adult, but also her parents who were also disabled. And she was the primary breadwinner and she was taking care of both of them. And I don't know what her wishes were or if she had a will, but she had a significant amount of dependence that I wouldn't have even thought about. I'm blessed. My parents don't live with me and I don't take care of them currently, but that is something you absolutely have to think about because there's no guarantee that you will pass before they do.
Mm-hmm.
Or that they will pass before you do. And so you have to have that in writing. And I always tell patients, you want to identify what your parents are going through and how much care they're going to need. You also got to kind of think about how much care you can help them with, because if they need 24-hour care and you're still working 12 hours a day, really it's not coming together. So if you are taking care of your family, you got young kids and your parents then need 24-hour care, how much of that can you really give? And so you got to get some help. You got to ask for help. Ask your family members, hey, I can't do this alone. There are adult daycares out there. you know. And so I've had patients who've been in adult daycare while their spouse or their children are at work, and then they go get them after work, but that costs money.
Yeah.
And so those are things that you have to think about when you are doing this. I think the best way I can describe it is that this is a lot. You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot. You're putting on a lot, and you love your family, so you're going to do it, but you also want to have things in place early. Dr. Kristen was absolutely right. You want to have things in place before bad things happen, because if you know we know, if I know your wishes beforehand, then I can help you. And so one of the things that we've been doing is we've been doing Medicare wellness visits. And so essentially my patients always are like, oh, I get my wellness, my wellness physical. It's like, well, no, a Medicare wellness is not a physical. And they're like, well, that doesn't make my sense. A Medicare wellness is to make sure all of your stuff is in order. So you've had your colonoscopies, you've had all your preventative stuff. And then on the other side of that is the power of attorney, your living will. And so we literally sit there, it's me or one of my nurse practitioners, we literally sit there and say, do you have a power of attorney? And if you don't, we get the paperwork out and we start telling you where you can go get a power of attorney. Who do you want to be over your health care? Who do you want to have that healthcare proxy? You know, and so as soon as you go through Medicare, we try to bring you in for that wellness visit so that we know, because God forbid something happened to you, it's already in writing. I already know your wishes. So then I can tell your kids, I can help guide them and give them some ability to say, hey, this is what she wanted you to do for her, or this is what he wanted. And so that helps a lot, but it's a hard conversation. And so the other part is start talking to your kids and your family and your mom and your dad about their health and what they want. Like, start with the basics. Your parents are healthy. My mother says it all the time. And it's the one thing that makes me tear up, is having to talk to my mother about like end of life care. Yeah. So I'm not telling you it's easy, because I've had to do it. But you have to do it, because when you do it, it makes it so much easier and smoother later on.
Yeah, because that's a lot of responsibility and pressure on you to try and make that decision for them, because you don't know what their wishes are.
Right.
But when you know in advance, it should take some of the burden off of you, knowing that while this is a hard decision, no matter what it is, I know that I am doing what they would want me to do.
Yeah. So if we don't leave you with anything else, we're going to leave you with the knowledge that you can do this, but the best time to start doing it is before your parents or your family member gets sick, not after. Because then you know. My mother always jokes. My mother is a social worker, in case you guys didn't know. We do have a show where we introduce you to our moms, but my mom is a social worker, so she doesn't mind talking about this, and we'll talk about it all the time. And she's told me her wishes frontwards, backwards, any way she can. I don't like talking about it, but I'm blessed that I know what my mother's wishes are, and I knew what they were when I was in my 20s. Now that I'm in my 40s, I still know what they are, and she changes them, and we have these conversations on probably every couple of years. Like, hey, this is where the wills are. This is where things are. This is what you need to know. This is what you need to do. And I think that that's super duper important.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so lasting things that I want to leave you guys with is make sure you're looking at resources, especially free resources, resources that you can get. We'll put some links in the chats for you guys. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask us any questions that you may have. It's just really hard. I kind of looked at the chat really quick. It's just really hard to do this and to deal with this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
It's got to be done.
So next week, we are going to do a talk on endometriosis. We're going to have a special guest on next week who's going to give you her story about what she's been through. So it's one of those stories that will, one, make you think about your own life and making sure you take ownership of your health. She got some doctors that weren't listening to her, and she found a way to get her story out there and make sure she was taken care of when people were like, oh, you're fine. So I think you'll really enjoy having her on next week. And hopefully all the other girls will be on next week. It'll be the 4 of us again. So we are going to bid adieu, let Dr. Kristen get some rest. So she's got a 6 a.m. flight to see them babies tomorrow. So good night.
Good night, everyone.